But here, on the very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
Your co-host, Julie.
Hello from the great, bright yellow north.
Yellow?
Yes, it's sunny for our first day in a long time.
See, that's not what I was thinking. I went to a much worse place.
No, yellow isn't sunny. It's sunny for first time in a long time. First day in a long time.
Your co-host, Thurston.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenSpaceGames.com. I'm Carsten Frank.
Nice.
Excellent. Yes.
How have we not thought about this before?
God, I wanted to do this for such a long time.
That's great. I wonder,
Finally, I did it.
Is ForgottenSpaceGames.com taken? Hang on, if it's not. It's not. I'm buying it right now.
Domain. Let's do it.
Oh my God! Wait, it might not. There's nothing there right now. Hang on.
Right? No. Don't buy websites for a bit, Brian. At least finish the introduction.
Oh my God!
Your co-host Jacob.
I know it.
Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again, and expecting something to change.
And your co-host David.
Still waiting for the friggin' ice to melt away outside. God dang it.
Oh really?
Yeah. This wind just won't go away. Damn it.
But I thought the globe was getting warmer. Okay. Hang on.
Right. Oh boy, not this again.
ForgottenSpaceGames.com. Ooh.
Are you actually gonna buy a website on a bit?
Yep.
Oh my God!
I'm buying it right freaking now.
Oh, for crying out loud, Brian.
Please.
Too late.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Well, the great thing about my host is that I can host unlimited domains.
Well, the good news is,
So it's very easy to buy a domain through my host. It's very, very easy.
I'll be honest. Buying websites on a bit for a bit sounds like something I would do, but
I would.
I can only recommend that.
I would totally do this, and I'm just going to redirect it to Space Game Junkie. That's all I'm going to do.
It is very funny. It would be extremely funny.
I mean, if I had time to do multiple podcasts, maybe.
I'm pretty sure this one is already pushing it.
It really is. Okay, so friends, hang on, I gotta do one more thing. Come on, buddy. And did it go through? Okay, so friends, we had so much fun. Okay, Forgotten Space Game. Forgotten has two T's, right? I spelled that right?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I spelled it right. We're good.
American.
We had so much fun talking about games we felt deserved better a while back. We had so much fun, and we didn't even get to talk about all the games we wanted to talk about. We only had time to fit in 3 each. So we're like, let's just do this again and for another show. And so that's what we're here for. So I'm going to start with the game that is currently on the stream that no one seems to remember but me. And, apparently Luis. It's called Millennia Altered Destinies. It came out in 1996, I think. Or 95, 96. Oh, 95? Okay, 95. This game is a time travel space adventure combat game in which, okay, how do I explain this? Basically, you're given command of a time travel ship and you have to defeat these aliens. But to defeat these aliens, you need the help of 3 other aliens to build this weapon to defeat these aliens. And to have them build this weapon, they need to build the parts. You have to go, back in time and curate their history to a point where they will build, where they will successfully build these things you need to destroy these enemies. Now, it's fascinating because you can see the results of your meddling in like this kind of timeline view. And if like you do things right, you'll get to see that, they survived another 300 years to another crisis. And then you go 300 years and help them with that crisis. Or it's like, they died in 100 years because you did this wrong. Oh crap, now I have to go back further and try and fix this problem. And the game takes into account all these different variables and all these different variations in the timelines for all of these races. And so there's no one way to get to your objective. I've never actually finished the game. I came close. I got 2 of the races to successfully build the thing, but the third they just like died in a monsoon or some shit. Yeah.
That can happen.
That can happen. And along the way, you'll run into these aliens that you're trying to stop you from doing this, and you'll have space battles with them. It's a fascinating game. It's such a shame that like it never went anywhere, because like I've never seen a video game handle time travel as well as this one does, with all the different variations and all the different things that can happen for each of the 3 races. And so it's just fascinating to play. And sadly, it's also not available anywhere digitally. Like you can't just go to Steam or GOG and buy this, which is a crime. But if you do want to track down a copy, it works great on DOSBox. And again, it is a fascinating and unique game that very few people remembered. Oh no, that guy, that decapitated guy is your ship's AI, and I forget his name, and he is sassy. He is full of sass. He will sass you back. And it's great. It's also buggy, Luis. Yeah, it is buggy. I don't know if it ever got a patch to fix its bugs, so it can be buggy. That's another reason I've never finished it.
It is jank. It is exactly as jank as I would expect a game.
It is quite jank. Yes, it is quite jank, but it's worth the jank because again, there is no other game like this. And it's such a goddamn shame because it is. Oh, and I think you get to fight a mirror version of yourself at one point.
What's about fast?
So, like, this game is a bit of everything.
If you're gonna be a time traveler and not shoot yourself in the face, like, why would you bother?
Exactly. So I think there's like a future version of yourself that you have to fight or some crap. It's been a while since I got that far in the game, but yeah, this game is bananas in the best way. Angus, thank you, Luis. Yeah, the AI's name is Angus. Thank you, Luis. I couldn't remember their name, and yeah, they are sassy. It is great. The writing in this game is actually terrific. So yeah, track down a copy of this. It is not expensive on eBay, and again, it runs terrifically on DOSBox, and it is buggy, it is janky, but it is so much fun and unique. It's worth playing through at least once, I think, just to see what they were trying to do, and I think to see what they did successfully. Honestly, they made a great game about time travel with all the ups and downs thereof. Like, and I've not seen a game that handles time travel as well as this game. So that is my first pick for today. Spaz, what do you got?
My first pick is a cult classic that at the time was kind of a commercial flop.
Which is shocking. It
is shocking, yeah, because the company that made it doesn't really exist anymore because
of this, basically. This and Wizardry 8 were both flops. We're both flops. Yeah. Which is a crime.
The game in question is Jagged Alliance 2. And you might be thinking, wait a second, that's a great game. Yes, it is. It absolutely is a great game.
That flopped commercially.
That flopped.
Yeah, it was a huge flop at the time.
Okay.
Can't believe that.
See, I'm kind of in a two minds. I kind of know why that happened. Wait, was it Jagged? No, that's a different game I'm thinking of. I was thinking of the later Jagged Alliance games.
Oh,
yeah, I'm going to mention
Jagged Alliance 2 was great.
Yes.
Jagged Alliance 2 was a really good game that just happened to flop at the time that it came out.
Yeah, I think there was a fatigue about games like this when it came out. At the time,
A little bit, and it does have some bugs, or at least it did at the time, and that did kind of factor into it to an extent. But I would say since then, it's been there have been so many attempts to make a sequel,
and they've all been terrible.
I wouldn't say they've all been terrible.
Mostly,
Back in Action wasn't that bad,
really,
but not on the same level as 2. There was Jagged Alliance Rage, which let's not talk about that one.
Yikes.
And Flashback, which
yeah.
Me off because I was a backer on that one.
Oh no,
I was a Kickstarter backer on that one, and it got abandoned very early on.
The one I do remember myself is Jagged Alliance Back in Action, which I have played apparently for all of 10 minutes about 10 years ago, when it first came out. And I still remember reading the reviews about it, which was basically all Jagged Alliance. Jagged Alliance was great. This is just marketably worse.
Yeah.
It's unfair to compare the two to an extent because it was trying to do its own thing, and to its credit, it's more positively reviewed now than it was at the time of release.
Yeah. But I also think Jagged Alliance 2 came out at a bad time. Like, it came out in 99? A billion things came out in 1999. And
it got upstaged by the Fallout series, for example.
Yeah. I mean, so many things came out at that time. And it's a shame. My first Jagged Alliance game was Deadly Games, actually. The kind of middle stepchild thing. And I loved it. So
because that was a sequel to the first game.
Yeah, but it didn't really have a campaign. It had more like an editor and a random generator. So it didn't really have the campaign of the first game. But yeah, the second game was terrific. But yeah, it's such a shame that it flopped. People still play it though. Like you're right. It did become a cult classic. But yeah, it's such a. It can't, Free Space 2 came out that same year and also flopped. Like, what was up with 1999? Oh man, it was a tough year.
Everyone was afraid of Y2K and their computers exploding.
Well,
I don't know. I don't have a good reason.
Well, I think there was a bit of fatigue about a lot of different game types in '99. I think people were the consoles were on the upswing, so there was that. And I think people were just looking for something different, not another XCOM or not another, and so I think there was a bit of fatigue because so many games came out, so many amazing games came out in the '90s that you couldn't keep up with them.
This was also the year where many of the really good first-person shooters did come out, and
yeah,
obviously a lot of players changed to this type of game.
Yeah, it was a bad time for a lot of different games. Like a lot of games came out in 98 and 99 that just, are completely forgotten now, which is a shame.
Well, now the thing with Jagged Alliance is it's not forgotten.
No, it's not.
Still very well remembered by a lot of players, in large part due to the fact that you had such a large mercenary roster to pick from, and those mercenaries, some of them liked other mercenaries and some of them hated other mercenaries. So you had to keep those people apart so that they wouldn't bicker and turn on each other in the middle of a fight.
Oh, it was so great.
Or their morale would drop and then they might actually just abandon you despite the fact that you're paying them.
Yes, that was actually a feature in the first game either.
Yeah,
they could start to start fighting each other in the middle of a mission.
Oh man, so great.
or if you kept them together in the same squad for long enough, they just both leave.
Oh,
because they were both unhappy with your management. So yeah, there's a lot to love about Jagged Alliance, and that's one of the reasons why it's still it's still a classic, and it's still a cult classic.
Yeah, thankfully you can get that one on GOG easily.
And on Steam.
Oh, is the original on Steam as well? That's good. Yeah. All right. Julie, what's your first game of the show today?
Well, I've got several here, and none of them are available any longer. And they met their demise, I think, too soon. One is available in a format that I think it's not by the original company anymore. But there's my first choice. And it's Warhammer Online. And one of the developers was Paul Barnett. And I had a opportunity to interview him for 3 hours once. He's very verbose, or was at the time. And this game is, I think, an example of what happens when developers don't listen to their audience. And here a good example is the game itself was, I thought, a great game. I had a lot of fun. And back in 2008, when it came out, they had battlegrounds, PvP battlegrounds that were not instants, and realm versus realm, they called it. And they tried to put an emphasis on this area, and there wasn't really a large interest in this. And where there was an interest in was instanced war games and battlegrounds, and eventually they decided, well, we'll give people what they want. But by then it was a little too late, and most of their audience had fled. And it's not like, obviously, that IP hasn't gone away, just Mythic Studios has gone away, and the people who were part of it now have Broadsword Studios, not all of them, some of the designers. And Broadsword is who has Ultima Online now. But it's one of these cases where as well, I thought that Mythic Studios kind of overpromised, and Paul Barnett is just like a wonderful showman. But the thing is, when you're going to have, it's as we saw with No Man's Sky, you can't promise the sun, the moon, and the stars and then not deliver. It's better to just say, okay, well, I'm going to give you the sun, and if the moon and the stars comes along, well, that's fine. But then you can kind of give yourself a bad reputation. And I really loved Warhammer IP, whether it's the Sword and Sorcery or the Outer Space one. But I think they really didn't do justice to this game, and I think it would have done great if somebody else had been developing it. But I think it deserved better than it got, the game itself, the IP.
So there's this thing called Return of Reckoning, which looks to be some kind of emulated version of Warhammer Online, I think. Have you heard of this?
That I have not heard of. And I do know there is a version out there that's like a fan version. And I do know this may be the one where the Mythic Studios, when it still existed, was going to do something that was just instance battlegrounds, and I don't think that ever went anywhere. But it was just mostly, I think it was a case of developers not listening to what their audience really wanted out of the game. There was some of it was, overpromising, just like No Man's Sky. But that said, I think it was. The game, while it was out, I had a lot of fun. I think if somebody else was behind it besides Mythic, who obviously doesn't exist anymore, I think the game would have really gone far. It might still be there. And to this day, there is a tablet that is imitation stone that has hanging on the hallway wall here that has the Warhammer Online symbol on it that somebody did for me.
Well, apparently this Realm of Reckoning thing, they are calling it a continuation of Warhammer Online. That's what the wiki calls it anyway. So I would definitely check that out.
Worth a look at least, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'll have to, take a look at that and report back to us if you have time, because it'd be fascinating to see how well they've captured the original, like the Star Wars Galaxies folks are trying to do.
On the other hand, when I got the Warhammer that you got for me, I asked myself, why would I go back to an Edsel when I got a Rolls Royce in the driveway?
I think they're different. I think they're apples and oranges. Like one's an MMO, the other's an ARPG. Like I don't think you really can compare the two, but to each their own, I guess. Okay. Thorsten, what's your first game of the show?
Well, all three of my games I picked for today have something in common, and they were published between April 1987 and April 1988. And the first game I start with is a game called Cholo.
Wow, I've never heard of this one.
I guess so. Most people never heard of this one. This was a vector graphic-based game in an post-apocalyptic environment, and you were basically in a bunker and should have been released early, but the main computer of this bunker malfunctioned, and now you have to search the surface, which is radiated with a robot, and it was a pretty neat, fun game, but it never sold very well. It's a bit sad in my opinion, because it was pretty complex. It also had a novel, which was a nice read, by the way, in the package. I really miss these those novels and all this hardware stuff you got with this boxed games back then. But well, it's over in that direction, I guess.
This does look fascinating. It really does.
No, it was pretty complex, and I did never finish it.
What did you play it on back in the day?
I played it on a C64.
Okay, because I'm looking at Moby Games, and it was available on machines that I didn't have. It was on the Amstrad, the BBC Micro, the C64, and the Spectrum. Yeah, so it was never available for PC, which is what I had back in the day.
I guess even it was never published in the US either.
Oh, was it? Really?
I really don't know, to be honest.
Oh no, I think you're right. It looks like it was only published in the UK. Well, wait. No, that's all. Wait. Oh yeah, it looks like it was only published in the UK. Wow. No wonder I'd never heard
I hadn't heard of this one either.
And yeah. Go ahead, Spaz.
I was just saying I hadn't heard of this one.
Yeah,
either.
if neither Spaz nor I had heard of it. That's saying something. That's saying something. Wow, what a pick.
Yeah, if it had been on the Atari, I might have, because I still have the Atari 800 and Atari 800 XL that I had back then. So there's a chance I could have heard of it, but no, it was on platforms I didn't have.
Wow. Fascinating.
Gotta say, that cover is fascinating.
Yeah, fascinating pick, dude. Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
So what's my first pick?
Jacob, what's your first pick?
That one was kind of obvious, but requires a lot of context. Delightful little game called Disco Elysium, which is 50% confusing and 50% brilliant. It's an exceptional action RPG adventure game meta story thing. The game is about a lot of things. It's hard for me to specify, but what it's about is less relevant as to in regards to why it deserved better. The reason why it deserved better is because the company called Zaum made an absolutely groundbreaking title that really pushed what video games were capable of doing. Then they got bought out by Amazon.
Oh,
got forced into selling the IP to make a TV show that never happened.
Wait, what?
And
wait, what?
the sequel. What I said. They were like they sold it. I mean, a lot. The IP came with the company, but Amazon wanted to get a TV show, and then that TV show didn't happen. And the game's sequel was officially canned and just shut down.
Sad.
Which was immensely depressing.
Holy crap.
And for people, it was more depressing and slightly funny to people familiar with the themes of the game. But for most people, it was just depressing. Because it was a brilliant, highly artistic project that got ruined by a usual flavor of corporate greed.
Shit. Because I played a little of it, but I found it. I did find it a little too dour for myself.
It is extremely depressing. I will admit, I cannot play for extended periods. The game is actually genuinely depressing.
Oh.
It does an excellent job of presenting that sort of casual, everyday miserableness.
Yeah, it like I'm playing it. I'm like, I don't want to be in this world anymore. I think I'm done. Like, this is too much.
Yeah, because it's not even like an extremely grimdark. It's a familiar grimdark.
Yeah, a little too close. A little too close.
Yes, the world of Disco Elysium sucks for exactly the same reasons our world does. It just spells it out more clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a happy place. Like you know how you watch Blade Runner or something Warhammer, you're like, wow, I don't want to live there. This is extreme. This isn't extreme. This is just, it's like, take our world and fast forward 30 years where nothing's gotten better, and that's basically what this is.
Not even 30.
Like, yeah, or something like that. Like, imagine like as crappy as our world is right now, nothing's gotten better over the last decade or two, and that's basically what you got. And it's just, ugh.
Yep, things aren't even getting worse. They're just in a perpetual empty void.
It's just
of not the worst they can be, but still miserable.
Oh yeah, it's. Ugh. Just thinking about that game is making me sad.
It's a brilliant experience and an excellent game that I don't recommend to everyone because Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And if you do play it, do it in short bursts. And then go watch a puppy or something.
Yeah, I know people who can binge. I know the people who can binge that game. They are both the saddest and the happiest people I know. It's so either you sort of completely nothing more to lose, or someone who has a lot of happiness capital saved up.
Man.
Oh God.
All right, let's move away from Disco Elysium because damn, just ugh. David, what's your first game? Yeah, what's your first game of the show?
Well, first of all, disclaimer. So I've been studying, so I've had my hands full. So I had pretty much scrambled together this list in a short while. So I mean, yeah. So my first pick for today is going to be something that has always been close to my heart. I suppose. And that's going to be Homeworld Cataclysm of all things. And yeah, I'm not misreading that name miscorrectly. No. Because
they renamed it for some reason. I don't know. I don't even know why they
for a very stupid reason. Blizzard happened, looked at it, and went, We had a World of Warcraft expansion called Cataclysm like 10 years ago?
But Homeworld Cataclysm came out well before.
Yes.
This was a reason? No.
Oh,
yes, that's the actual reason.
I am not joking. And to clarify, 12 years ago. 13 actually, as of today.
Yep. So, yeah, that's actually incredible, that piece of story itself.
Stupid. Anyway.
Has anyone needed more reasons to hate Blizzard? Because you got them. But yes, Homeworld Emergence. Homeworld Emergence, also known as Cataclysm. Go.
Yeah. Oh, hello then, Louise. Yeah.
That's a good to start off on. Right, carry on.
Wow.
So yeah, when I heard about I think I pretty much just played through Homeworld 1, and then this came out, and I was very afraid of any kind of horror games at the time. I mean, I couldn't even play Resident Evil 1 at the time. I was so freaking afraid of zombie moans, so I would hide behind the couch when my friends were playing. I'm not kidding. But years went on, and I think I was in a Swedish high school or something like that. And I found this in a bargain bin, and I bought it. But yeah, I still held off from playing it. But one of my classmates, or in a parallel class at the time, was interested. So he went to play it, and yeah, he returned it later. And, it was fine. After that, I finally made a plan to play it. I wanted to see, what did they do with Homeworld? Had they really turned Homeworld into a horror game? Short story. Yes, they did. They actually did.
It was pretty scary for a real-time strategy game.
Yeah.
Pretty terrifying.
It's even more scary to me when you don't actually see the horror. Well, I mean, the horrors that are happening to the actual crews being, infected by the beast horribly. And,
no. So having your imagination fill in the blanks is even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, that's my favorite of the Homeworld games is that one.
And
so
holy
good.
crap, the voice acting, the story. Yeah, I love
the modular mothership. I love the modular mothership. Oh my god. Jose, I don't think they ever did find the code. Honestly, I think they just.
Yeah.
Did they? Is that what happened?
They never found it. And
I don't think they did. Yeah.
I was so friggin' hyped when they were announcing, we're going to remaster Homeworld 1 and 2. Where's Cataclysm?
Yeah, what about Cataclysm?
We lost the source code.
It's gone.
So what you're buying on GOG is not a remaster. It's basically the original game.
It is still slightly retouched from what I remember.
A little bit.
Yeah, I've been able to run it on my Windows 10 computer here, no problem.
Yeah, but nowhere near as much as the remakes of the first Homeworld games, which I have played. Very good. With one caveat.
But
formations are being broken.
No, they retroactively added the adaptive difficulty from Homeworld 2 to Homeworld 1.
That thing, yeah.
If you mod that out, I have no more issues with it. Just mod that out.
Why? Why would the workshop is still that? There. Why? God.
Why would they even do that for Homeworld 2? It was bad in Homeworld 2.
So dumb. It was so bad in Homeworld. That's what got me to stop playing it. I was like, this is stupid. I hate this. Oh.
Yeah.
But
so it was sad to see many people wrote off this game as it was Homeworld, but a horror game.
But those are the same guys. Those are the same guys, if I recall correctly, because we had them on the show a while back. They went on to do the Sword of the Stars games, I believe.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and also
those are really good.
And that really amazing Treasure Planet game is also theirs.
Yep. That's all them.
Yeah. So
Sword of the Stars.
No, go ahead.
I should have put that game down on the. Hold on. Let me just quickly amend my list. 1 second.
No worries. We haven't gotten to our second and third picks yet, so no problem. So you do that while I'm talking about my second pick, which kind of comes from the little intro to our show. It's Independence War 2, which is a very, 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 very different game from Independence War 1. Insanely different. Not in a bad way, but I think it had a lot going against it. One, it came out 2 or 3 years after the pretty much collapse of the space game genre. 2, Independence War 1 was a great game, but it didn't light the world on fire like Wing Commander. So there are a lot of people who missed it. And you don't need a ton of foreknowledge from the first game to go in, but it helps. And 3, I think people like space piracy in games, but when you make that the sole focus, they're like, bleh? But I kind of want to be a good guy. Nope. Not in this game. You're just not. You're not a good guy in Independence War 2. You're not.
Yar har fiddle-dee-dee.
But like Luis says, if you want pretty much the best game that focuses on space piracy, that's the one. Because you could ignore for a long time. I mean, the story will catch up with you, but for a long time, you can totally ignore the story, hang out Lagrange points, and just engage in all manner of space piracy and have a blast. Just have a blast being a space pirate for a long, long time until the story's like, hey, remember me? You have to focus on me now. Yeah.
Bugger off. I want to steal things.
Like, no, I don't want to.
I actually own that game on GOG. I never properly got into it for reasons I don't fully understand. Probably because it was.
Well, the tutorial missions are brutally hard. I had to cheat to get past them. And two, the game's vanilla UI isn't great. You can mod it so it's a lot better, but like the navigational star map interface is just a pain. It looks great, it's cool, but it's a pain in the ass to actually use. But you can mod in just a simple list of destinations that makes the game a lot easier to play.
Got it.
So, but at first blush, it's a very hard game, and once you get past the tutorial, it's like, okay, I have to do what to move around the universe? Oh, I don't know. This is a pain in the ass. So, thankfully, you could still get all the mods for it that make it a much better game. But yeah, vanilla, it's got that. I think people lost the patience for that 90s difficulty in 2002, and rightfully so, honestly. So yeah, it had a lot against it when it came out, sadly, which is a shame because particle systems kind of ceased to exist after this game, which is a shame because they made some terrific stuff like Subwar 2050 and Independence War 1 and this. And I've been trying to track down the lead guy for particle systems to get him on the show. And it's hard tracking down those older folks. It's hard tracking down folks from olden times. So it's a shame. But yeah, folks, Independence War 2, you can get it on GOG. It is terrific. It is just brutally difficult even to get past the tutorial. But once you do, and the game opens up, it is fantastic. That's my second pick. Spaz, what about you?
Well, my second pick is a game that we featured on the show. We had a podcast about it, and it didn't do well when it first released because of reasons that were beyond the devs' control.
Oh my god.
Yeah, if you want to know the full story, you can refer to our podcast on Approaching Infinity. That game deserved better at the time. It didn't get its due until after it was released on Steam. It is in development still. Bob had actually left game development for a few years, and then he got the rights back, and now it's on Steam, and it's even better than it was at release.
He's adding so much to it. It's, oh my god, yeah. He has added so much to the game already, and he's adding more. And
yeah,
it's doing well enough that it can do it full time. Sorry, it's just
yeah. I was gonna say, Approaching Infinity is a game where it's a great story because it did deserve better, and it did get better.
Yeah,
it just took some time.
It took a long. Yeah, it was stuck on Shrapnel Games for 7 years, 6, 7, 8 years, something long, like a long time, and it languished there because like they were charging what $40 for it, and like you
could get it for $35 on a sale.
Yeah, they're twice a year sale, which is a joke.
Yeah, which is when I bought it because I did get it at that price.
You know what was ridiculous? I kickstarted the damn thing and I got it for $20 on the Kickstarter, and when I saw it go live on Shrapnel, I'm like, oh, it's dead. This is just sad. It's dead. No one's gonna buy this now.
I'm sorry. How many USDs? exist.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it languished for years, and I can't blame him for leaving the game dev space for a while. But when he got the rights back and put it on Steam, and like it just shot off like a rocket on Steam. It's one well it's like a Cinderella story. Oh my god, it is really like a Cinderella story. That game. We couldn't be happier for him too.
Except instead of slippers, we have a price drop.
Yeah. Like it's $14.99 is a much easier digestible price, and
wait, was that Cinderella? Yes, it was.
Yeah, and the amount of content you get in this game, oh my freaking lord! You can play it for thousands of hours
easily.
I can't highly recommend this game much more. It's one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah. It is, in terms of space roguelike, definitely the best, and that's actual roguelike, not rogue adjacent thing. Actual roguelike mechanics, top-down view, you go, enemies go, turn-based stuff, grid-based, the whole thing.
Yeah.
The entire
But even then, there's still a roguelite element on top of that, because you get the money that you get gets saved up for future runs. That a portion of that gets to be paid forward. And
which is great.
That there's your meta element. There's your roguelite element right there. So it does exist. It just isn't the focus of the game. It's the roguelike part of it that's the focus.
I need to play more of it.
It's terrific, and he just keeps adding stuff to it. He just what was the recent thing he added? I forget. He just put out a big update like a week or two ago that added a bunch of more stuff. Like he just keeps adding stuff to it. And it's amazing.
I mean, one of the biggest things he added was multiple screen planets where you could walk around on the surface and it's multiple screens.
Oh, wow.
Content. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's not even including the caves. The cave systems are huge. Multiple levels there, but the fact that you can walk not just off of the edge of the screen, but you have more content to walk around on beyond that. It's a lot of exploring.
May I ask a newbie question?
Yeah.
How do you survive in the caves? Or how can you explore deeper?
Oh, that's
upgrades.
Difficult.
Yeah, there are a couple of upgrades that allow you to find oxygen. Also, some planets already have oxygen that's breathable without you getting ill, which means you can explore to your heart's content for as long as you can survive.
But there are spacesuit upgrades and stuff as well that, like they were saying, that can give you more oxygen.
The deepest I got was level 40 below.
Oh my god!
Wow!
but then I died.
Well, yeah.
Oh, of course,
I mean, my god.
Game over.
That's gonna happen.
You dug too far and too deep.
You dug too deep and too greedily.
Good pick. That's probably the happiest story we're probably going to hear today. Is Approaching Infinity is probably the happiest story we're going to hear today, and deservedly so. The guy is great.
I mean, I opened up with Disco Elysium. There's only the only way to go is up.
It's hard. It's hard to get further down from that. All right, Julie, what is your next pick?
All right. Well, my next pick is something that was published by NC Soft that was famously sued by Richard Garriott successfully, and they paid for most of his flight to space. It was developed by Carbine Studios. That was some people who worked for Blizzard, and the game is called WildStar. And for those who are watching the screen, they can see the kind of style, cartoonish kind of style. It was a sci-fi game that I really had a lot of fun with. It had player housing. I really enjoyed who you talk to. There are as many different opinions why it failed as there are people. It was really successful at first, and the premise is you're like an outer space explorer, and the planet was originally settled by this really highly advanced alien race called Eldan, and you're an explorer, and you land on this planet, you want to claim it for yourself, and some people say the problem was a lack of balance in PvP. Some people don't like the questing system, but I had great fun. But it was a short-lived game. It goes back to 2014. It was a lot of positive reviews when it first came out, but I especially like the art style and the character that looks like the crazy rabbit kind of character. But why it went away, I don't know. And David, of course, found another Moby Games version of it, but it was another online game that I really enjoyed. And sometimes online games seem to be short-lived. I don't know. And I think part of the problem with this is, in talking with Paul Barnett, is that he described once World of Warcraft as a fluke of nature. And I think what sometimes happens is you get companies who invest in these online games, and I think they expect to reproduce the success of World of Warcraft in its heyday, where it had more players and Switzerland had citizens. And I agree with Dr. Bartle. I think back in that day that World of Warcraft did a great disfavor to the gaming community. I think it established a bar that was way too high at the time. So that is my second pick, and again, long ago and far away. So the version that I played anyway.
Yeah, I never played that one. I know nothing. The only thing I know about it is that funny video I shared with you earlier. That's the only thing I know about WildStar.
Well, I really liked the characters. I had a lot of fun. Their housing system, which is like in this little floating dome kind of thing, was great fun to play with, which is, it's one of these things where I could sit there and just play with the housing system more than anything else. And that's what my friends and I did. But it wasn't long lived, unfortunately. They tried going free to play, but that did not save it. And would it still be around if they had a different publisher other than NCSoft? I don't know, but I kind of suspect it might have lasted a little longer if it was published by somebody else.
That is a shame.
I had a friend who was really hyped for WildStar. I wanted me to get into it as well, but yeah, I didn't join him.
That's a shame. Thorsten, what's your next one?
Well, my next pick is Space Station Oblivion, published in late 1987, in Europe known as Driller. And it's pretty similar to the first game I talked about. Basically, you have to drive over a moon under which surface gas does build up, and you have to drill holes to release this gas. And if you don't, the moon simply explodes. It was a pretty nice game, and it also had a novel, by the way, a 32-page novel in the box. What's different to my first pick is that it had shaded polygons instead of vector graphics, and it looked much better. And the engine called Freescape engine was used for several other games at this time, and it was pretty fast and pretty detailed. It was a pretty revolutionary game in my opinion, but I don't think it sold well. I don't know anyone who remembers this game, honestly.
Oh wow, yeah. Apparently there were a lot of games that use this Freescape engine, like you were saying. You can see them on Moby Games here. Friends, Moby Games is one of the best sites, by the way.
you could do a lot of things in those games which you couldn't for the next 10 years in most cases.
Oh, I remember Castle Master. That's another Freescape game.
I never played that one. I always wanted that one.
Yeah, that was a fun time, Castle Master. But yeah, I never heard of Space Station Oblivion, which is a shame because I would have totally played that back in the day had I known about it. Because this looks totally like my jam. But it did come out in the United States. Okay, so I have no excuse.
Okay, that was my third pick.
That's a great pick. That looks really fun. The graphics look kind of mind blowing for 1987/98. I mean 88.
They were extremely fast. They worked on a C64 8-bit computers without any flaws.
Look at that. Yeah. I am again shocked that I never played this. I totally would have played this had I known about it back in the day. Absolutely. Fantastic pick there. All right, Jacob, what's your next one?
Right. So since I've readjusted my choice slightly, the Sword of the Stars series, because I remember that it exists, I remember that it was brilliant, and I remember that the sequel sucked.
Oh God! Oh yeah. God!
Oh.
It was kind of interesting. It is a game in a similar vein that, like, I could best compare it to a game that came out much later, which was Sins of a Solar Empire, in that it was a sort of 4X game, but very heavily focused on actual combat and conquest, less so on everything else, which I enjoyed. I do enjoy like in-depth tactical space boat games. It was also a game with a lot of variety in terms of playable factions, playable alien species. Each of those was very different from one another. They each had a different gimmick in terms of their FTL travel, different strengths and weaknesses. Each of them played completely differently from one another, which is something that a lot of 4Xs struggle with. Hello, Civilization.
Stellaris.
Hello, Stellaris has the opposite problem, but it's still a problem.
Hey, we're going to give you this great creature designer. Have fun. It's going to be the same creature as every other race in the game. There's really not going to be any functional difference. It's just going to look cool. Oh, thanks, Paradox. Yes. Anyway.
But yes, then the sequel came out and it was underwhelming.
And we had those guys on the show a while back, and they put the blame on that squarely at the feet of Paradox, who was their publisher at the time. And that,
speaking of Stellaris,
completely makes sense to me. Completely makes sense to me.
It's like the freaking detective story where you find out who the killer is, except it's the most obvious killer possible.
Like, oh yeah, I thought 2 minutes in that they were the killer. They're like, no, they can't be the killer, but they turned out to be the killer. What?
You mean the fella that literally has killed people before? Yes.
They've always been a mixed bag. Sometimes a lot of their stuff that they've published has been great.
Yeah.
Has not had any issues to speak of that are worth mentioning. Yeah. And then others turn out like Sword of the Stars.
They're horribly inconsistent, yes.
Yeah, very, very much so, which is a shame. But
on the plus side, we did get Sword of the Stars The Pit, which is an excellent roguelike in that universe.
So good.
Again, actual roguelike with all of the
The sequel is more of a first
person here.
No, go ahead.
I know I'm the one person here that cares about the distinction, but this isn't. But the Sword of the Stars, The Pit, is an actual proper roguelike with all the walking down an ever growing mine / dungeon, character progression, semi-simultaneous turns with NPCs, and it's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good, and I would add that, I mean, I know the differences too, and I care about them less so than you do in a granular sense, because I don't mind when those things are mixed, as long as there's a distinct function to them.
Yeah,
that's where I draw that line. Is okay, fine, mix up the genres a little bit, play with the tropes, but mix it up a little bit and know where that line is drawn. And I'm cool with it.
Yes, and there is in fact a sequel coming out. It has a demo that is currently in early access, and I haven't touched it. I don't know if it's any good.
It's not bad. I bought it like day one because I love these guys, and I haven't played it in a while. It was fairly janky when I last tried it, but I like what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it more of a first-person shooter, and I think they're going to succeed at that. But I think it has
Infinity.
Yeah,
well, there was the Pit Infinity, which was the first-person shooter. In that vein.
Am I getting
And then
confused?
there's the Pit 2. Yeah, and then there's the Pit 2, which is currently in development.
So what's the Pit 2? Remind me. What's the Pit 2? Oh my god.
That is a graphical upgrade, basically, to iterating on everything they did in the first, the Pit.
Oh god, you're right.
Yeah. So Infinity was taking the concept and putting it into a co-op shooter, which, hey, I can take it. You know, it's an interesting idea. Janky, yes, but I like the idea.
Yeah.
And then the Pit 2 is just iterating on everything that was done first.
Okay, I apologize for the confusion then, because I thought the first-person shooter was the sequel, but no, you're right. The Pit 2, Sword of the Stars, the Pit 2
is the real sequel.
Is the real sequel, yes, and it's coming along quite nicely, actually.
Yeah. I've got to pick that one up.
Yeah, I have a little of time. I have a little bit of time in it, and I do remember now that I did play it and enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm gonna wait for this to get, more time in the oven. But yeah, that's a great pick, Jacob, because the first game, I don't know if you played it multiplayer, but it's great co-op as well.
I actually have once with one other person for a bit, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, it is terrific in co-op. It is absolutely terrific in co-op. It's just
it also has.
Good.
It also has psychic dolphins in it, which I absolutely adore.
The Lear, yeah.
The Lear.
All right, David, what is your second pick?
Before that, I was gonna say to Jacob here, Hiver fans, rise up! Let's build those stargates.
I'll take when you get there.
I'm gonna enjoy his coffee here.
So to clarify, the Hivers have an interesting gimmick. They have their FTL relies on stargates, which they can build and they can transfer instantaneously between them. When they build them, before that, they have to slow boat at slower than light, which is like 15 turns to get between one system and another.
But once they build them, it's great. Once they build them, it's fantastic.
Once they build them, it's fantastic. Before that, you have to wait like 30 turns to do anything.
They failed at networking.
Very slowly. We'll get there eventually, lads.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh my god. All right, David, what do you got for your second pick?
All right, so this one, it's like I have a little bit of love and hate relationship, I suppose, but I still mostly like it. So that's good too. That's going to be the Red Solstice 2. So I played the first game and was really, really confused. It was actually like a proper RTS with a single soldier control setup. Or, well, if you play the campaign, you could move around multiple soldiers in tactical mode that you also have seen in Company of Heroes 3 by now. But a second game added some additions, as I say, that made the game a little bit more, I don't know how to say it, more fluent, or it's more dynamic. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. So that you can actually nowadays play the game with complete almost twin stick controls for the game. So it can apparently play like a completely different type of game. But if you have ever checked on the Steam store page for Red Solstice 2, reviews have never been glowing for the game. A lot of complaints about bugs and balancing issues and all that stuff. But the developers are working very hard on trying to fix most of those things. And I guess it doesn't help if you were to play public games that some of those players playing the game are a little bit toxic and want to only play on the highest difficulties. So it doesn't help the situation.
That's
The game
And it
is
does-
theoretically predominantly co-op.
Yeah, exactly. It should be co-op. You should cooperate with each other, but if you're not the right level or stuff like that, you might as well just be kicked if you're joining a public lobby. And I don't want to see that.
Does also have a sharp difficulty curve. It is very difficult.
Yeah. But once you got everything working, when you have your suit set up, your weapons are modded and ready to go, it's a good time. I like it. So
I gotta play it more. I own it. I just need to play it more.
I'd highly recommend playing it co-op, and the campaign can be an extremely slow burn. So watch out for that.
I think that's why I keep burning out on it, because I try the campaign a bit, because I'm like, oh wow, it's like a kind of meta campaign thing going on. I love those. It's like, oh, this is going to take 1,000,000 years. Oh
yeah,
it's so sluggish.
It's so close to being air quotes great or good or whatever. There's some things holding it back a little bit. Yeah, and most of those things are actually coming from the player base. So thanks.
Oh no, that sucks. All right, now we're getting into our last games for this episode. My third game shouldn't surprise anyone. I'm gonna just bring it up real quick. It's called Bloody Rally Show. It is a fantastic top-down 2D racing game with procedurally generated tracks and campaigns, a level editor, and wonderful, wonderful violence. Because in regular games, you refill your boost meter by running over people, and you don't feel bad about running over people because they're influencers. They're trying to get pictures and video of the race for their Instagram channels. And so you're like, okay, I don't mind killing 10 of these in a go. It's great. There's blood all over the tracks and everything. And if you hit a urinal, like a person and poop will fly out. It's not a urinal, a porta potty. It's great. So the game didn't do well, sadly. It was pretty much a flop from jump, which made the developer very sad. He's moved on now. He's doing Stardew. I think Stardeus. And he's much happier with that, and it's a much bigger success for him. But this game was a flop, both on the PC and the Switch. It didn't do well on the Switch either. And sadly, the people who ported it over to the consoles took forever. So by the time it eventually came out, everyone had like,
that was the Philippine Stardays that did that.
Yeah. The same guy.
I never connected those two.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah,
never did I.
Spius is an awesome dude.
Yeah, he's great. He is great. He's a great developer. He's really friendly. And it's just a damn shame this game didn't really go anywhere, because it's really become one of my favorite racing games of all time. You can just load up a random track and play with some AI. You can play locally with people, or you can do the campaign. And it's got a car builder and a track editor, and there are lots of mods and tracks for it, and it's really terrific if you like top-down racing games. If you want something that's a mix of Death Rally and Carmageddon with randomly generated tracks, it's your game. But like, apparently I'm the only one
including the workshop tracks too.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently I'm the only one who wants that sort of thing. So I still play it fairly regularly. It still has daily races on the Switch and the PC. There's a free version you could try called the Prologue, which is terrific if you like racing games at all. But it's not perfect. It's like the AI doesn't really know what to do with random tracks, so it can be ridiculous at times. So it's just a shame that it didn't do well. But thankfully, the developer has moved on to a niche, which I think will work better for him in the long run. So yeah, that's my last game.
And it's a space game.
Yeah.
We have to mention it's a space game.
It's a space game, so we're definitely going to have him on at some point. I should actually reach out to have him on. It'll give me an excuse to actually play the damn thing. It kind of scares me a little bit.
It's pretty impressive and terrifying, because there is so many systems in play at once.
Apparently you can have cats, so that sounds kind of fascinating.
There are cats that can ride around on the robots like Roombas. Yeah. And the cats hatch from eggs, which is also interesting.
What?
What now?
Yes. Yeah, you find eggs, and then the cats can hatch from them.
Okay. Oh.
It would say X. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay, then. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a
Okay.
thing. It's a thing.
I should reach out
trust
to
me, it's
him
a
and
thing.
we can have him on the show. All right, Spaz, what is your final game for the show?
My final game is one that is not currently available to buy on Steam.
Which is a goddamn crime. Which is a goddamn crime.
Yes, it's Alpha Protocol.
Oh,
Now,
I
a
love
lot
this
of us
game.
around here know this game.
I love it so
and have
much.
played
I
it.
love it so much. I'm on my second playthrough now. I take little breaks, but I play little bits of it because it plays so differently depending on how you play it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about it that sets it apart from games that came before it, is that the conversation system is very reactive to how you play and to whom you ingratiate yourself or alienate. And because of that, every playthrough can be very, very different.
Someone made a video of their playthrough of the game being a complete psychopath. It is the funniest because your handler hates you. And
Who doesn't hate you at that point?
it's so funny.
If you're playing it that way.
It's so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, I finished it. It's one of the few games I actually finished, and I played it like completely professional, Jason Bourne style. Like, I'm a good guy, I'm going to do the right thing, yada yada yada. And then I'm currently on a playthrough. I'm doing the exact opposite, being a complete and utter fuckhead. Excuse my language. And it is so different. It is so different than the first playthrough.
I wish I got the game, but Steam doesn't let me.
Well, if
Now,
you have,
if it's possible to buy physical copies of the game and then redeem the key,
Yeah.
that is the only way you can get it on Steam now.
or if you have a Xbox 360, you can get a physical copy that way.
That's true. That's true.
I'm actually wondering, are any of the copies that can be? Yeah, they are. They are. Holy crap! For dirt cheap at that.
Oh, really?
Except for that one weirdo who's asking you to pay a full $1,000 for it. What is wrong with you? Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, one thing also about this game is that a lot of its systems got reused, so to speak, in other games after that, because it's the conversation system, for example, is something that other games have tried to imitate, and where you get 3 or 4 different choices, and depending on how you choose that reaction, you may not know exactly what you're going to say, the character is going to say when you pick that option, but it gives you an idea of the tone you're trying to set. And you can be as consistent or inconsistent as you want. If you want to play it manic and flip a coin to decide which way you're going to respond to someone, you can do that. A lot of responses are timed, and if you don't respond in time, then it's going to give a default response, which may not be something that works for the way you want to play it. So you have to think on your feet as well.
Yeah, and
combat is janky. Combat
is very janky.
There's so much to love about.
I mean,
the game.
the AI is so dumb. You could shoot someone. There could be 3 guys standing there. You shoot one of them, the other 2 guys just keep standing there. Like, they didn't even notice. You just shot. And all you really need,
like, a wall.
Yeah. You could, and there are a lot of guns in the game. You can have machine guns and all kind of things. All you really need is a silenced pistol. That is the only thing you actually need in the game. It is a terrific game. That is so buggy. But like I said, it's one of the few games I finished. It doesn't take long to finish it. I think it was about 15 hours for my first playthrough. I absolutely loved it. And I was addicted to it from beginning to end. It is so silly and fun. And my God, it's got one of the greatest video game characters of all time in Stephen Heck. There's a guy in there called Stephen Heck. He is utterly terrific. Like, it's worth playing the game just to meet him, in my opinion. Oh my God. I love him so much. So, good pick. Yeah, that game. Oh my God. And they keep like hinting like, oh, we want to do it again. They keep like, oh, we'd love to revisit it. They're never gonna. But because I think Sega's never gonna release the rights to it. But
One can hope.
One can hope.
Yeah, probably not going to happen.
But they still talk about how much fun they had making it and how much they still love it and everything. And like you can tell the people who worked on it loved it and were sad to see it end up the way it did. Such a terrific freaking game. I could talk about it for years. I'm going to stop. Thorsten, what do you got? Oh, sorry, Julie. I'm sorry. Julie, you're next. Julie, what do you got?
I know I'm forgettable. Anyway.
No.
No.
Anyway, the game I got is not the current version that's out there because I understand the current version has more bugs than an Orkin Man. The version that I'm talking about is the original version, which is the, unfortunately, game that sunk the flagship. And by that, I mean the original version was, we had...
what's the name? What's the name of the game?
Hellgate London. Hellgate London.
We're the podcast, Julie.
Yeah, the original version. And back from 2007, and it was done by Bill Roper, who was the producer that from Blizzard at the time, and he was the producer for this. And I had the opportunity to interview him when he was at Cryptic. I didn't mention this game because it was kind of fresh on something that had just happened, and I felt like it would be like giving him a paper cut and rubbing salt into it, so I didn't bring it up. But when I interviewed him, but the thing is, the first half of the game was fantastic. I had so much fun with this. And it was the multiplayer version of this. And the single player version that's out there by Habitsoft is not the same game. It's just a dumbed down version of it. What the problem became is when my friends were playing it, I finished the first half and I said, okay, where do I go from here? And they said, you just do the same thing now, only harder. And I said, you mean they published the game when it was half done? I don't know why they rushed it out the door. No idea why they did that. But the game, what was there was one of these things that was like great fun, but well, put it back in the oven for a while, and the flagship studio shut down, and now my understanding is Habitsoft out of South Korea has the rights to it, and I understand the new version of it is just
it's a mess. I've played
it's a mess
it's
and a bare shell.
Yeah, it's a mess.
But when it was out, what was there deserved a lot more attention because this could have been a fantastic game if more time had been put into it. And this is, and I don't know if it's because if it's a case like you see now where investors say, no, I want it out now. I want it out now. I want it out now. But even if this has been something that said, okay, put it out there in early release or something, that they had, when it first came out, it was an advertising campaign that was just like an advertising blitz. There were advertisements everywhere in Chicago, in the subway, in the streets, that said, they killed my dog, I'm going to London, and all the rest. And it came out to great acclaim at the time. But then, again, it was like half finished, and it's just kind of a shame. It's one of these games I said, I would rather see something. It's like when you told me the new Spaceborne game that's out there. I said, well, okay, I understand it's an early release, and I understand it's got far to go. I'm okay with this. But, you know, to be blunt, as my old NCOIC in the military would have said, don't polish a turd and tell me that, you know, it's something else. And if they had left this in the oven longer, I thought it could have been a great game. And it's a shame.
It is a shame.
Indeed.
All right. Now, Thorsten, now's your time to shine.
Well, shine me, no. Okay, now I've got a game that was basically the grandfather of Jack the Lions 2, and that's Laser Sword. It was also the father of XCOM, and it was done by the same guy, Julian Gollop.
By the man himself, Julian Gollop. Oh boy, this is gonna be good.
This was one of his first games, and it's basically the first game where you tactically lead a troop of soldiers through a 2D scenario, and it has already a lot of those basic gameplay points that made Jack the Lion's great and XCOM great. It had only one problem. It had only 5 missions, which isn't obviously great. They made a mission disc later, but it was never available. At least anywhere I looked. I did look back then, but I had a lot of fun with this game.
See, I never played the original. I played the sequel called Laser Squad Nemesis, which was...
Yeah, I never played that one. I didn't even know it did exist until I researched for the original Laser Squad.
It was so great. It was so good. Laser Squad Nemesis. It was so good. I loved it so much, and I don't think it exists anymore at all, which is just a damn shame.
Should still exist on Steam, as far as I know.
Laser Squad Nemesis? I thought it got shut down.
I've got to look at it. But one cannot understate the importance of Laser Squad. It was the original Laser Squad. It was really a watershed moment for gaming.
Yeah, if you didn't have Laser Squad, you would not have XCOM. The entire series wouldn't exist the way
not XCOM and likely not Jagged Alliance.
Agreed.
That too, yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, that would be my third pick.
All right. Jacob, what do you got for your last pick?
You know, I've realized something about this whole podcast. You know what's something I haven't done enough? Rant about Ubisoft and why they suck.
Do it.
Please,
because
please
Ubisoft have annihilated many franchises and made so many garbage games over the years. I'm surprised we haven't just dedicated an entire podcast to ranting about them.
I'm buckling up.
I presume the only reason about it for that is because they've only made one thing approaching a space game, and that one was kind of okay.
Which one was that? Was that the Starlink thing?
Yes, that one. But
that was all right.
What I am here to talk about.
Sorry, they also had Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Oh,
but then,
yeah, I can't. They're kind of like in that way. They feel like the Netflix of games. Like, hey, let's release it and then not give it any support and watch it die.
Yes.
Yep. I've heard that one.
Oh, 1 second. I think Twitch might be dying. Twitch, are you dying?
I don't think so.
No, Twitch is not dying.
Anyway, so yeah,
the series I want to complain about is Silent Hunter. Why? Because in case you haven't heard, in case you're new here, I have an unhealthy love for submarines and other stealthy boats.
No,
they are boats. They are not ships because the Royal Navy said so. The big thing about Silent Hunter series, obviously, it was entirely brilliant. I played both Silent Hunter 3 and Silent Hunter 4 way back when. Both were excellent games about sneaking up on the merchant ships and blowing them the hell up, which is always a fun time. And then there was this delightful game called Silent Hunter 5 that was just a complete mess. How do I summarize it in a way that doesn't require us to G-rate the podcast? It's not even necessarily that it was bad in the sense of awful. It was bad in the sense of horribly disappointing. It was pawned off to some studio that's never worked on the series before, Ubisoft Romania.
What?
Yes, Ubisoft Romania.
I didn't even know there was a
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, there's a Ubisoft Romania.
Sure. All right.
They made it an always online title requiring their fancy little Uplay thingy, mabob.
What?
Yeah, it was back during that short stint where a lot of game publishers, the game developers were putting always online stuff in single player games in order to quote unquote prevent piracy, which failed spectacularly. I mean, that was the only reasonable reason why they do it, but it still failed. And as such, the game is currently unplayable. No, that's a huge loss because the game itself is kind of underwhelming.
Oh, I thought there was a really big mod for the 5th game that I heard about. Really...
Which one?
Wolves of Steel.
I don't remember.
And
yeah, it was. It made the game playable, and by playable I mean decent. Go ahead.
I have played Silent Hunter Wolves of the Pacific. I have played Silent Hunter 3. I had great fun, but fortunately, the success of World War II did not depend on my ability to command a submarine.
Yeah.
My biggest problem was the timing of the torpedoes, but still, I had a great time. I have, but I've never installed Silent Hunter 5, and now I think I will just let it languish at the bottom of my library uninstalled.
As it deserves to. I had like 16 jokes there, and all of these would fly over your head.
Did you play the first 2, Jacob? Sorry, did you play?
I have attempted to. I had to drag them off some places. It's hard to actually get legitimate copies of them, I think. And they're kind of jank, and like normally I only play janky old games when they are really good. But they're decent. There is a blatantly better alternative called just playing the newer ones.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Why would I willingly play Silent Hunters 1 and 2 when 3 and 4 are measurably better in every aspect?
Well, I think the first one was an SSI game, wasn't it? Wasn't it the first one?
Silent Hunter 1. Silent Hunter 1. It is made by Strategic Simulations, Inc. Indeed, it was.
Yeah, the first one was pretty good. I played that back in the day. And I liked the first one. And then the second one was...
It was okay. Yeah, I'm familiar. But yeah, Silent Hunter 3, excellent. Silent Hunter 4, excellent. Silent Hunter 5, unplayable and mediocre. Okay. I would be more mad about this if the game was actually good, but since it's not playable anymore because of Ubisoft's weird nonsense, but since you're not missing out on that much by not playing it, I'm sort of ambivalent. And of course, now we have stuff like Cold Waters and U-Boat coming out, which are excellent games in their own right.
So if I wanted to dive in to a Silent Hunter game, yeah, I did that. I'm not sorry at all. Which one would you recommend if I was going to...
Right.
With mods, of course.
With mods, if you're fine with mods, I would personally say if you're like... If you're not looking for capital S Silent Hunter, there is the game U-Boat, which is an excellent remake, spiritual successor thingy-mabob that is very much fun, and I would argue more approachable than the original Silent Hunter games. Oh. If you want capital S Silent Hunter, I would personally recommend 4. 3 is fun, but it is jankier due to being older. While Silent Hunter 4 still works, no questions asked. Sorry, it's Silent Hunter Wars of the Pacific. That's the technical title, but it is Silent Hunter 4. It still works with little to no issue on modern systems. I say little to no. If it doesn't, then there are some reports that like the Steam version has issues, but that I haven't tried it. But the game itself is excellent. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is also... the difficulty is extremely variable in terms of realism. So you can go. So if you're not a person like me that knows the freaking 3-minute 15 method for calculating ship speed and knows what an angle on bow is, you can turn that off. Just point your periscope at something, throw torpedoes at it, and hope they hit. And they will with decent accuracy. So yes, I would recommend Wolves of the Pacific, which is Silent Hunter 4. It is also the one that is about playing American submarines in the Pacific, just like the first game, rather than playing German submarines in the Atlantic, like all the other Silent Hunter games.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I started with Silent Hunter 3, hadn't played the first two, had a great time. But, I've always been interested in naval games because, I tried to get into the Navy, passed all the tests, but then they said, your vision's not good enough. But I was interested in Navy games going all the way back to Harpoon, back before there was
my God.
What's an internet, and it was great. I granted, like I said, I wasn't, and like Jacob said, I wasn't good with the whole timey thing, but I love naval games. Started with Silent Hunter 3, had a great time, and I don't know if there still is, but at the time there was a real big submarine community, game community behind
SubSimNet, they're still around.
Yeah, SubSimNet. I was a member of it, and
they are still very much around,
wow.
And they're developing their own game.
And I have always, when I played, I found them to be very helpful whenever I had a problem.
Yeah, subsim.com and like the general, subsim.com is still going. They're making their own game called Wolfpack. They're publishing as a forum their own game called Wolfpack, which is a co-op sort of bridge crew styled like cooperative submarine simulator. And they're still the premier forum for people that like boats.
I had a lot of fun stomping around the ship, pretending I was in Das Boot.
Yeah, that film is great. It is actually my favorite film, I think.
I've watched it once, and I don't think I can ever watch it again because that ending. Oh my God!
I have seen the actual conning tower they have that they used in the film because. That was filmed in Munich at the Bavarian Film Studios, where The Never-Ending Story was filmed. That's also the same place where I got to sit on the actual Falcor model from that movie. So that conning tower, it's huge. It's huge in real life.
Oh yeah, it's monstrous.
And the original series, the original movie was only cut it down from.
Yeah,
from
I've not seen the 5 hour.
Yes.
I've not seen the 5 hour. Uncut.
I have seen the full 5 hour cut, and it was like a religious experience.
God, sir! Yeah. Oh my God!
And you have no that film made me realize like that we've been doing military fiction wrong for decades.
And I just wanted to mention that in Chicago, now I'm in the suburb of Chicago, but if you say, my name of my town, everybody says where? But if you say Chicago, everybody says, oh yeah. We have to this day a U-505 submarine, what you can still take a tour through, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah,
that's a Type 9. That's fancy. Those are actually rare.
Yeah,
I was captured during World War II. Yeah.
I think I need to see the uncut version at some point because it sounds fascinating. Yeah, it's 4 hours and 53 minutes. I've only seen the director's. I've only seen the director's cut, which is maybe 2-ish hours. But yeah, the uncut version is apparently a whole separate amazing thing.
I'm still amazed at how much mileage they just get out of the sonar operator going, wait, quiet everyone. Just everyone staring at him for several minutes in terror.
Klaus Veneman was just wonderful in that movie. It was fantastic.
Okay, I need to
watch it. Yeah, carry on.
I need to dig up a copy of this because my God,
it's so good.
5 hours, my God. Oh, eBay, $6. Look at this. Anyway, we got one more game to talk about. David, go.
Yes, before that, real quick, Jacob, have you checked out Wolfpack on Steam?
Yes, I mentioned it like 5 minutes ago, there's the big game getting published by Subsims forums.
Oh god, I'm so tired in my head. Sorry.
No worries, it's late for you guys.
7 out of 10 on listening comprehension, but fair enough, it is late.
All right. Well, so my last game here that I want to talk about is actually something I wanted to talk about on our look back on 2022. But I basically chickened out and decided to speak about something else. So I'm still nervous to talk about it, but I'm talking about it for Spaz here, and I'm just going to go ahead with it. And also, Forsen, this is the game that I have been hinting off. That's going to be a little game that was released last year called Monster Girl Manager. And before you see anything, this is a safe for work game.
Chat, hold your horses.
Yeah, hold your horses. This is basically a Monster Rancher and Darkest Dungeon Mystery Dungeon combination of gameplay, where you recruit monster girls to your party, level them up, and send them to the dungeon to, well, gain loot and build the city. So basically you spawn these monster girls by entering a seed, and then they will get the procedure generated, completely with different colors, personalities, species, which all decides what kind of abilities they will have.
Procedurally generated monster girls. That's a freaking tagline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. That's amazing.
And sometimes I am really fascinated with procedural generation. So yeah, I can get some cool combinations in this game. And why am I mentioning it on this podcast? Well, monster girls. That is the problem. A lot of people picked up the game thinking this was something else. Oh no, it's not a not for safe for work game. It's an actual safe for work game.
Yes,
so,
Steam has a lot of both, so I don't blame anyone for thinking.
Yeah, so a lot of people have bounced off the game because of it doesn't have that kind of content.
They were expecting something else that is not there.
But at first blush, my thought in seeing this, my thought would be, "Oh, it's an animated version of Monster Hunter." And,
no,
and it's not.
You just freaking sold down anime girls all again.
Well, no, hold on. There, what Julie's saying is actually kind of correct though, because
wait, what?
With Monster Hunter, the way that it worked on the PlayStation was you insert a disc into the PlayStation, and then the PlayStation reads the data from that disc and uses that to create a monster. So, what she's saying is actually kind of correct from the procedural generation. It's not using CDs to generate the data, but
well, I didn't think you were hunting the girls as well.
Oh, no. So, and the developer has been having to cut back on a lot of planned features for the game. A lot of species have been cut off
because of low interest.
Yeah, exactly. So I
still remember like just opening the game out of sheer curiosity and seeing your review on the page and going, wait, what the hell is this? The game is safe for work. Oh, okay, I see.
I decided to write it.
I was duped.
Well, you're right. And going through my news feed in the morning that has a lot of games in it, I see something like this and I say, my eyes, I'm not opening this. I know it's going to happen.
Well, there you have it.
Wow.
Oh god, hentai and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Right.
And now I don't have much to show, but the game is also very moddable when it comes to sprite work. And I've been trying my hand at some sprite work myself, but nothing is finished yet. And maybe I haven't made that clear, but I like to draw. And seeing that I can actually use my artistic interest in something, it's very nice. And I have gotten some support at the official Discord for the game as well, so it's nice.
Okay, I think that covers everything. It's an hour and a half. We got to go. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week, you guys. A lot of great games this time, you guys. Excellent discussion. Next week on the show, I think we're going to talk about ambitious indies. As I've been playing Spaceborne 2 a lot, and it got me thinking, what are some other games and developers especially who are just just machines in making and developing their games. So we're going to talk about not only the games themselves, but we're going to gush about the developers of some of our favorite indie games who just don't seem to ever sleep. And we love them for it. So tomorrow, I don't know if there's going to be a stream tomorrow because I'm actually going somewhere tonight. So we'll see. But one way or another, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for listening. Thank you as always to our patrons. And thank you as always to people who've gotten vaccinated. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, just go. Just do it already. Just stop. Just stop whatever you're doing. Stop fucking around and fucking get vaccinated. I'm just going to say it because God damn it, what are you doing? just do it already. God damn it. Have a great one, everyone.